Here's a comparison of a brand new Mitas E07 Plus versus one with 7,400 miles. First of all, welcome to the channel and thank you for stopping by. When time permits, please consider subscribing. I'd greatly appreciate it. Today, I'd like to do the final review of my Mitas E07 tires. I ran these tires for 7,400 miles and I pulled them off a little bit before I needed to. I've used these tires on snow in upstate New York. I've used them to go to the Florida Keys in over 90 degrees, putting 12 hours of hot tarmac on them. And I've done dirt, rocks, you name it, everything, all on my channel. And I really felt that these tires as a whole were the best 50/50s I've ever ridden on. However, I did find the front tire to never quite be something I was happy with. I can't say there was a problem with it, but compared to the rear, it just never felt like it had the same grip or it had the longevity even. I'm not that satisfied with the tire. Now, looking at the tread, it is a really good tire. We have plenty of side knobbies. This has let me grab into all sorts of mud that I never thought I could with a 50/50 tire. There was originally quite a bit of depth here. Now, just in case you're curious, after 7,400 miles, what we have here is we're not quite down to the wear bar, and we have between 2 millimeters and 5 millimeters, depending on where you are on the tire. Now, if I was just going to be riding on the road, I probably could have gotten at least 2,000 miles more out of them. It seems to be the farther they got, the slower they wore. I lost like a millimeter in the last 2,000 miles. But I did find that the front was absolutely spent if you were getting into any kind of mud. This tire, good. I'm going to classify it as a good tire. It didn't disappoint me, but it also didn't wow me. So that tire's gone. Now this one is the Mitas E07 Plus rear tire, and it still has between 3 or 4 in the center and up to 7 millimeters on the edge. And even when I took this off, I was having no trouble climbing over rocks, no trouble in sand in Florida, no trouble in mud here in New York. 7,400 miles, I absolutely could have ridden this tire to 10 if I hadn't taken it off for a long trip. I had put on some other tires because I didn't want to be 3,000 miles into my trip and be stuck. So this tire right here performed in everything. It was a great snow tire. It was a great sand tire. It was a great mud tire. This is supposed to be a 60/40 tire according to the manufacturer. It is better than any 50/50 I've ridden. And I mean, I've tried at least 5 different types of tires on 4 different bikes. I bought another one of these. I have just waiting to go. It's that good a tire. So, long story short, no matter what you plan to do on your adventure bike, this size adventure bike at least, I would strongly recommend getting Mitas E07s. The only downside to the tires I can think of is, one, they're really heavy, and that rotating mass is going to affect your gas mileage. When I pulled off the Mitas and put on the Trail Max missions I have now, my gas mileage went up by 4 miles per gallon, which is really significant. I don't know if it's a reason not to run the tires, but do be aware of that. It's going to happen. And the front tire is noisy. I think the rear tire is probably noisy as well, but with my exhaust, I can't hear it. But as soon as I put the Mitas E07 on the front, I heard it, and it never went away. All the millimeters I wore away, 7,400 miles. It was loud when I put it on, it was loud when I took it off. Again, I went to the Trail Max mission that I'm on now, and they're practically silent in comparison. So I would not pick that front tire for any kind of distance on the pavement. Even with my headphones in, even playing music on my Cardo, I absolutely always heard that tire more than I heard anything else. It was very annoying. Just another reason why I'm not going with that on the front. But again, the rear, unless you have an incredibly quiet exhaust, I never even knew it was there. No problems whatsoever. Now, more about them on the pavement. I know people are going to buy these for mostly off-road because they are a very aggressive 50/50 tire, but you're going to, like me, you're going to ride on the pavement. They're good to great. It doesn't look like it with the side knobs, but you can lean those tires very, very comfortably. This bike is a street platform, and you get to ride it like a street bike. It will lean over and it will have a great time in the twisties. And for a 50/50 tire, they're fantastic. Again, not as good as Trail Max Missions, but we'll review those later. So, in closing, if you are going to hit any kind of off-road, snow, dirt, mud, rocks, sand, they will work really, really well. Every other 50/50 tire I've purchased has done one or two things really well. This tire you won't want to take on the sand. That tire you won't want to take in a deep mud. Maybe you don't want to put that tire in snow. This tire, the Mitas E07, will do it all. Absolutely. And I cannot say enough that that rear tire is, again, I have another rear tire sitting there ready to go. That rear tire is the best 50/50 I've ever been on. And the front is probably the best, but there's a couple of caveats that make me say, I'm gonna try something else. So if you stuck around this long, I really appreciate it. Take care. Here's a close-up look of the Mitas E07 Plus rear tire. As you can see right here, we are a solid 2 millimeters away from hitting the wear bar. And at 7,400 miles, I'd say these are at least 2,000 miles away from being spent. Here's an up-close look at the Mitas E07 front tire. As you can see, we have a wear bar that we are about 1.5 millimeters, 2 millimeters away, depending on the lug. Side lugs are in fine condition. I would say this tire had about 1,000 miles, maybe 1,500 more on it. Here's a comparison of a brand new Mitas E07 Plus versus one with 7,400 miles. We're starting out over here with 10 millimeters of tread, and after 7,400 miles we are about 3.5 in the center. So that seems to me to be very decent wear.